Hey, I'm Clary. I've been in flooring for 10 years, both on the subcontracting side and on the sales and distribution side with Spartan Surfaces. And I am currently the director for all Southeast sales. So today we're going to be talking about Multifamily 101. Multifamily housing would be considered anywhere where you have multiple residences located within one building or within a complex of a few buildings, including apartments, condos, townhouses. What are the most important things a designer needs to consider? Products need to be durable. They need to be able to hit certain budget points. They have to be able to work regionally with a lot of different aesthetics that designers and developers are looking for. And there's a lot of different types of products that go into both the unit spaces in those projects, as well as the amenity spaces and common areas, including the gyms. Specific limitations on their schedule. The owner's intentions is for the project itself, the acoustical needs, especially in higher class units, a product that's very quiet, so that people working from home don't have to be bothered by the noisy neighbors upstairs or across the hallway. We're also very concerned about budget demands, supply chain and logistics that can raise up other parts of the budget. Having climate control until past when they're wanting to have the floors in. All that's going to feed into what type of products we actually choose. So what are the demands of certain spaces? For common spaces, including the amenity spaces and the corridors, they're going to have higher traffic. You're going to be looking for products that are more durable. You may experience having higher end finishes, whether it's engineered wood or simply a nicer porcelain or ceramic tile to appeal to potential renters. So they want to have those spaces look as nice as possible. You may also have acoustical needs. Anything that is a floor above another floor, you can potentially have sound transfer from one floor to the next, and you may want to consider how to quiet that space down. So we will also look at acoustical products in corridors. One of the products that we see used often is engineered wood. Engineered wood is a great product to convey a sense of value in a space. Also, if it's properly picked out and the specifications correct, it can be very durable and reasonably easy to maintain. That gives it a warm and inviting feeling that people like to see in amenity spaces. Wood is obviously a renewable source, and especially if you're dealing with a reputable manufacturer, they are going to be able to provide you with a sustainability story through good forest management and great product production. Engineered wood can provide a great option for people that are looking to get lead points or have a sustainable story to tell about the space. All things being equal amongst flooring product categories, it is one of the more expensive. So porcelain tile has great water resistance. Obviously, it's a durable product. The product can have itself a wide variety of price points, but the installation costs can be more expensive, especially if you're installing in a specific pattern or with a very large format tile. For tile aesthetics, depending on where it's going in the building, we have a wide variety that is typically seen. For backsplashes, you have the more common looks, as well as more intricate and exotic patterns for higher end units. Also in the amenity spaces, you do typically see products that have more intricate detail and design as the designer is able to express more of the mood of the whole project in those common areas. For LVTs in the amenity spaces, the pros, it's going to be a very inexpensive material most of the time, even for the more durable options, and the installation cost is going to be relatively low compared to other products like wood and porcelain tile. We do have a wide variety of aesthetics, whether it's a wood plank like this, or even nowadays stones and abstracts, even some of the wilder things we've seen like grass aesthetics and cork. LVT is also a great option, specifically when we're talking corridors, because you can have a wide variety of options that either have acoustical backing or built-in acoustical pads so that you can get some acoustical benefit on those higher floors that we were talking about earlier in those corridors. So this is an example of a washed concrete pattern. It's just one of the many stones and abstracts we see that are very popular. Stones and abstract looks, whether it's porcelain or resilient, are also very popular in amenity spaces, especially if you're looking for a clean, modern look. Lastly, we do see carpet tile still as an option. It's relatively inexpensive. It does have some inherent acoustical value to keep that space quiet, like the acoustical LVT, and it can be done in a wide variety of aesthetics. One of the cons in terms of indoor air quality and the ability to keep things clean, carpet is a product that is harder to clean and sometimes can negatively contribute to air quality. Another popular option to differentiate a project and make it unique, wall coverings and feature wall options that are currently available, whether that's wood. This one, for instance, has a very large 6x8 pattern. There's a variety of custom options you can do with wood, or resilient type products, or even fabric type products that can be used to make those feature walls. So whichever type of product you use, there's a wide variety of options for good looking feature walls and wall coverings. So for units, probably the most common, or anywhere the project is extremely budget driven, is 2mm glue down LVT. By itself, very little acoustical value, but does come in a variety of finishes, whether it's a 6mm wear layer, an 8mm wear layer, or a 12mm wear layer. You can kind of gauge how much durability you need out of it and how much they're willing to spend to get it. For instance, someone that's going to be keeping a space may invest in resilient LVT that has a 12mm wear layer, which typically has a pretty long lifespan of 15 to 20 years, versus an 8 or a 6mm wear layer, which doesn't provide the durability, but also does provide some cost savings. You can combine these with certain underlayments to get more acoustical value, but that does drive up the cost of the installation. If they're looking for something that's easy to repair, is a glue down LVT that utilizes a pressure sensitive adhesive. The reason being that they can easily pick those pieces up as the pressure sensitive adhesive will release, and they can put a brand new piece down in its place in just a couple of minutes. One offshoot of glue down LVT is integrated acoustical LVT. This is a product, rather than having an attached acoustical pad, has a pad that's actually built into the LVT itself. Installation-wise, it installs just like any other glue down LVT using a pressure sensitive or wet set adhesive, but it does provide acoustical value that will allow you to hit the code requirements necessary for the project in one easy one-step solution. It can be more economical since you don't have multiple layers that you need to install, and since the installation process is the same as the normal 2mm product. So typically when we do glue down products in a unit setting, that space needs to be fully climate controlled. The product needs to be in there 24 to 48 hours in advance so that it can acclimate. And what this does is it allows for when you install that over the glue, that you don't have any problems with that product moving around a little bit, whether it's curling, expansion or contraction. There's a whole variety of installation errors that can happen if you don't specifically follow those parameters when you're installing a glue down product. And that glue down installation is what is, you have to consider the environmental factors so that you're getting a proper installation, whether that's making sure the temperature is correct or the moisture in the slab is below a certain tolerance so that you have a good installation and no problems with the floor after it's installed. A different option that you can use for a more forgiving installation parameters would be an SPC product. So Quick Lock SPC for units. We tend to use this product in units to provide wider parameters for installation. The space is not environmentally controlled yet. They won't have issues down the road with cupping or movement of the material since it is a more dimensionally stable product. You can also use this product to go directly over existing floors in a renovation, which saves you from having to do any demolition. So SPC is also extremely moisture resistant. This can be good for both topical moisture, for instance, if you were going to run it into a kitchenette or bathroom. Also for slab moisture if you're installing over a recently poured slab that has high moisture content. There is also on most SPCs an acoustical backing that is adhered to the back of the product or fused to the back of the product, which provides inherent acoustical value. You can hit the code ratings that you need for a project or go above and beyond that to get an extra quiet space. So cons for SPC in a unit: it does take slightly longer to install. It is a click lock product, so you can't just spread glue and then put the floor down. They do have to be cut with a double angle miter saw, so it is a little bit slower to get everything positioned and into place. In addition to that, the installation costs and the material costs are going to be slightly higher than a glue down LVT, so it can raise the budget of the overall project. Since it is a click lock product, if a particular plank gets damaged, they have to be cut out and have the locks removed, and then another piece has to be added back into it, which can take more time than a regular glue down LVT that's installed with pressure sensitive adhesive. So SPC really is an all-in-one, one-stop shop for features in a unit finish. If you can have the time to install it and the budget to put it in, it's a great solution for a multitude of problems in a unit space. So in terms of higher-end unit finishes, engineered wood is a great option. Anyone who sees engineered wood perceives a certain level of value since it is a natural product. It is slightly more expensive than some of the other unit finishes that we see, but it can be combined with a good underlayment to have great acoustical value, and it does certainly raise the value of the unit itself being a higher end finish. Some of the drawbacks from a technical side with wood is that it's not as easy to maintain, it can scratch more easily, and it's not very water resistant. Increasingly, we do see options that have treated cores for the engineered wood that make it more water resistant, as well as more dent and scratch resistant. So it is becoming a more competitive option in the sense of durability and ease of maintenance. There's a wide variety of options for porcelain and ceramic, and a couple different places we would put them in a unit. For instance, you have backsplashes. You also have 3x6 white subway tiles. Very durable. It is a nicer higher end aesthetic, and it also is very moisture resistant once it's installed for those areas that can get wet. This is a 12x24 tile, for example, which would make a great floor tile in those types of applications, as well as some matching coordinating pieces that can be used for shower and tub surrounds. In terms of cons, it is a slower installation process than a resilient product, and the labor is certainly more expensive as well as the material, so you can add to the budget by going with one of these options. Regardless of product category, in a unit specifically, we always see wood visuals. It's probably one of the most popular right now. Grays were certainly very popular over the last few years, although it's going more towards light browns, warm, inviting colors. It also varies regionally. We do also increasingly see both stone and abstract visuals, whether that's a porcelain or ceramic tile or a resilient product. So lastly for units, we'll talk carpet. Carpet is not as popular today as it was in years past. From a hygienic standpoint, it doesn't positively contribute to indoor air quality as much, and stretching carpet is just not as efficiently installed as, for instance, an LVT. So a lot of those spaces are transitioning over to resilient. It is still a very economical product. There is progress being made for carpet that is made that is easier to clean and easier to maintain and be hygienic than current offerings. So what products are good for gyms? Almost all multifamily projects that I've ever done have a gym space in it. And there's a lot of different options for gym spaces. Most often they're driven by either the durability need or the acoustical need. Oftentimes we'll see in gym spaces now that they only have cardio equipment, very light dumbbells, in which case we don't need the durability. Sometimes we can use a 3.2 millimeter rubber, which will just protect the subfloor. You can even in some cases get by with just an LVT if it's just ellipticals and cardio equipment and no free weights. If we are going to use more free weights and heavier free weights, we will go up to an 8 millimeter or above rubber. And depending on how high those needs are, even a solid rubber, which can handle like CrossFit style applications that are popping up in some projects now. We do start to see yoga rooms now in some gyms for multifamily spaces. So one product category that's kind of the best of both worlds is this, which is going to be a resilient sheet good over a rubber backing. It gives you both the durability of a rubber product with a little bit nicer aesthetic and a very easy to clean finish since it's a seamless floor. If it's on a higher floor in the building or the acoustics, much like with the units, you don't want to hear anybody clunking around weights at 6 o'clock in the morning if you live below them. So we will oftentimes go with a thicker product, whether it's a 1-inch tile, a 15 millimeter rubber, something that's going to absorb more of the sound so that it's a quieter space even though it's on a higher floor. In terms of the aesthetics for gym and fitness areas, there's a big movement away from the more institutionalized rubber, the 10% color pieces that people were mostly used to, for instance, in like a Planet Fitness. And they want to do something that feels more warm and inviting, whether that's a wood visual for a product that has a rubber backing on it and a resilient top layer, or for just higher color concentration rubber pieces that have more EPDM colorized rubber that can give unique design patterns. So for more budget driven projects, they're going to be looking at glue down LVT options that potentially don't have the higher end aesthetic but still have the same type of functionality, like that 10% rubber or more commonly seen commodity products. So what are some of the job site requirements for multifamily projects? The logistical need to be able to stage and deliver material in a timely manner. Store material for them so that it can be delivered as they need it, when they need it, and only how much they need, so as not to overwhelm the job site or take up too much of the storage capacity of the subcontractor or general contractor. We tend to inventory a large amount of the material that we use in these types of applications, so that if there's a last minute need or a shortage on site, we can quickly and efficiently deploy that material, and they don't run into any delays due to us not having resources to supply them what they need. There's always a wide variety of unique circumstances that we see on each project, whether that's high moisture in the slab, or whether it's gypsum toppers on top of the slab or in the stick frame construction. And in those cases, they all need to be addressed because the installation method will vary slightly, and you will need complementary adhesive systems and primers to go with your LVT for successful installation. Spartan Surfaces has adhesives and primer systems that are compatible with all of their resilient products, as well as their ceramic products and wood products that can address those specific problems as they arise on individual projects. We also have a great variety of self-leveling products. That way we can address, especially in renovations, poor site conditions and bring them up to the condition they need to be in for a successful installation. So with supply chain limitations and construction timelines kind of getting jumbled around based off when certain things can be delivered to a project, one of the other things developers are looking a lot to now is products that don't need to be acclimated for as long, products that can take traffic a little bit better immediately afterwards, and also products that don't necessarily have to be installed in a fully climate controlled environment, so that a project might not have to wait for the HVAC to be turned on before continuing with the flooring installation. And if you're looking for specific references for some of these projects, whether it be multifamily or other ones, please go to SpartanSurfaces.com. We have a wide variety of very specific project references and information there to look through. So please click like if you feel like you learned something. If you have questions about other product categories or market segments, so please reach out to us for your next multifamily project or whatever project in general that you happen to be working on, and we'll be happy to help. Thanks for watching. This has been Multifamily 101.